Tonight, wanted for murder, a former Canadian Olympian labeled a fugitive cocaine kingpin.
He chose to become a major drug trafficker, and he chose to become a killer.
The stunning allegations of transnational trafficking and orchestrating the killings of innocent Canadians.
My father died in front of me, and I heard my mother's last screams.
Details on the FBI's massive manhunt for the snowboarder.
Yichah Sinwar is dead.
Israel claims it has killed the October 7th mastermind. What it means for the war.
Now's the time to move on. Move toward a ceasefire in Gaza.
4 cabinet ministers set to leave the Liberal Party.
For so many of these MPs, the only thing left for the party to do is to change the leader at this stage.
Plus, the $100,000 school board scandal. And the game plan behind a new teaching tool.
To incorporate and integrate technology in education, it's so impactful and meaningful.
A Minecraft world to educate students about a Manitoba First Nation.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina.
Good evening, everyone. A man who once had the privilege and glory of representing Canada at the pinnacle of global athletic competition is tonight accused of being the ringleader of a major transnational drug operation and of orchestrating the murder of an Ontario couple. Ryan Wedding, a former Olympic snowboarder, competed at the Salt Lake City Games in 2002. Police say he directed the killings in retaliation for a stolen drug shipment that passed through Southern California and that he was based in Mexico for more than a decade. The head of a 16-person enterprise that included 10 Canadians in all, who made billions and moved it around in the form of cryptocurrency. CTV's Sean Leathong starts us off.
From Olympic athlete to accused drug kingpin and killer, Canadian Ryan James Wedding is now a fugitive.
He chose to become a major drug trafficker, and he chose to become a killer.
In Los Angeles today, several law enforcement agencies, including the FBI, the Ontario Provincial Police, and Peel Police, announcing their indictment of Wedding and 15 others as part of a multinational criminal enterprise responsible for moving 60 tons of cocaine per year from Colombia to Mexico through the United States and Canada. Also,
they would use contract killers to assassinate anyone who they saw as an obstacle to their operation.
43-year-old Wedding competed for Canada at the 2002 Salt Lake City Olympics. Residing in Mexico now, the organization he leads is alleged to have orchestrated a number of murders in Ontario, including one that resulted in the deaths of 2 innocent people and life-altering injuries to another.
My father died in front of me, and I heard my mother's last screams. I witnessed it.
We spoke to 28-year-old Jaspreet Kaur Sidhu earlier this year. She was shot 13 times on November 20th, 2023, inside her Caledon home. Her father, Jagtar Singh Sidhu, and her mother, Harbhajan Kaur Sidhu, were both killed.
We never even argued with anyone, so we do not understand who can do this to us.
Back in March, Peel Police announced the results of Project Midnight, where they said the shooting of the Sidhu house was one of multiple related shootings over the past year.
I want to stress that the Sidhu family were completely innocent.
Today at their announcement, the OPP confirming that they believe the shooting was a case of mistaken identity.
They essentially got the wrong house. The Sidhu family was not the intended target.
The Wedding organization is also alleged to have ordered a murder in Brampton on May 18th of this year and another in Niagara region.
Wedding went by various names and nicknames, including Giant, El Jefe, and Public Enemy.
Wedding is wanted for 8 felonies, including 3 charges of murder in connection with continuation of a criminal enterprise. Among those charged, Wedding's second-in-command, Andrew Clark, also from Canada, was arrested in Mexico. He's facing the same 8 felonies along with another charge of murder. The FBI is offering a $50,000 reward for any information leading to the capture of Ryan Wedding. Omar.
All right, Sean, thank you. Israel said today its soldiers have killed top Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar, one of the chief architects of last year's October 7th attack that killed 1,200 Israelis. The military says Sinwar was killed in a gun battle yesterday, and now there are renewed calls for a ceasefire and a deal to release hostages. But the war rages on. Today, in an Israeli strike, officials claim was targeting militants. At least 28 Palestinians were killed, including children, according to the Gaza Health Ministry. CTV's Heather Wright reports.
For more than a year, Yahya Sinwar eluded Israeli forces. They occasionally found clues, but never Sinwar himself, until yesterday. Israel released this drone video, which has not been independently verified. They say the man sitting in the chair who throws a stick is Sinwar, shortly before he was killed in a firefight with Israeli soldiers. Today, Israel confirmed his identity using dental records and fingerprints.
I think by killing this leader, it has now satisfied a lot of political imperatives. It will ameliorate some of the tactical stuff at the bottom end and allow the prime minister to have serious negotiations to get those 100+ hostages back.
While Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu celebrated Sinwar's death, he said the conflict is far from over, vowing to keep working to bring the hostages home, something he has been criticized for not prioritizing.
This is a critical, time-sensitive development as it relates to the hostages. Their lives are in great danger now, more than ever.
Experts say Sinwar was an obstacle to any ceasefire deal, willing to prolong fighting and sacrifice civilians in his goal to destroy Israel.
Now that he's dead, new leadership might see the conflict in a different way and take this opportunity to change course.
World leaders, including Canada's Prime Minister, calling for ceasefire talks to begin soon. Many hoping Sinwar's death could end the war that has killed tens of thousands of people in Gaza. But those who live in the enclave are less optimistic. This won't stop the resistance, Tabet Amour says. Palestinians will continue to resist until we have self-determination.
Sinwar's death also marks another tactical blow for Iran, with its two main proxies, Hamas in Gaza and Hezbollah in Lebanon, now significantly degraded. Omar.
All right, Heather, thank you. Back here at home, more key members of the Prime Minister's inner circle announced they will not seek re-election, setting the stage for a cabinet shuffle. It's the latest blow for Justin Trudeau, who is already facing calls to step down from within his caucus. CTV's Michael Couture reports.
4 ministers with a total of 29 years of cabinet experience are leaving the Liberal Party and won't seek re-election. Marie-Claude Bibeau, Carla Qualtrough, Dan Vandel, and Philomena Tassi.
I had confidence in the Prime Minister in 2015, and I have confidence in him today. This decision is all about me being closer to my family.
In a statement, Vandel also voiced his support for Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, and sources say Bibeau is planning to run for mayor of Sherbrooke, Quebec. It comes as multiple sources tell CTV News a group of Liberal MPs are planning to ask Trudeau to step down as leader at next Wednesday's caucus meeting.
The desire for change that we're seeing from our polling is just maybe overwhelming for so many of these MPs who understand that maybe the only thing left for the party to do is to change the leader at this stage.
But there are ministers who disagree with that narrative.
I support the Prime Minister because he supports the vision of a Canada that actually gets to the business of ensuring everybody has a fair chance to succeed.
As recently as Monday, Trudeau was asked about his future and whether he'll lead his party into the next election.
Oui. Yes.
Seamus O'Regan and Pablo Rodriguez also announced they won't be running in the next election, meaning the Prime Minister will be forced to shuffle his cabinet. And some believe that could present an opportunity for Trudeau.
Is there a way for him to kind of use a cabinet post, use a new vision, that sort of thing, as a way of bringing people closer to him in these current times, which are incredibly critical for him?
Sources tell CTV News that shuffle is expected to come sometime after the U.S. election, which is on November 5th. Omar.
Mike, thank you. Pressure is also growing on Pierre Poilievre to get the security clearance needed to view classified documents on foreign interference. A day after denying explosive allegations made by the Prime Minister, more politicians say the Conservative leader needs to know what he doesn't want to know. CTV's Judy Trin reports.
The Conservative leader faces growing backlash over his refusal to get cleared to read a top-secret report.
It's because he wants to protect his party
above the country, and that is absolutely wrong.
The criticism comes after the Prime Minister testified about a classified list of MPs and senators who may have participated in foreign interference.
I have the names of a number of parliamentarians, former parliamentarians and/or candidates in the Conservative Party of Canada.
Pierre Poilievre says his chief of staff received classified briefings, and at no time was he informed that any current or former Conservative parliamentarian or candidate knowingly participated in foreign interference.
Mr. Poilievre doesn't have a security clearance.
This former head of Canada's intelligence agency says CSIS wouldn't brief a chief of staff, only a party leader with the power to discipline parliamentarians.
His chief of staff probably wouldn't have been provided that information because he had no way of using it. He had no need to know.
A June parliamentary report identified names from all parties and revealed that the Conservative leadership race was at risk, targeted by China and India, but details were redacted. At a time of rising tensions, when the Mounties say they have evidence the Indian government has launched a campaign of violence against Sikh Canadians, something New Delhi has just denied, Jagmeet Singh says Poilievre should not turn a blind eye.
You've got these serious allegations that a foreign government literally hired gangs in Canada to go out and shoot up people's homes and people's businesses. Canadians' lives are put at risk. Does that sound like the response of a leader who's taking it seriously?
After reading the report, the NDP leader said he didn't have to take any action pertaining to past or current candidates in his party. Omar.
All right, Judy, thank you. And First Nations chiefs have rejected a landmark deal with the federal government tonight that promised to reform child welfare.
Children are our future.
More than half of the 414 chiefs voted against the deal at a special assembly in Calgary. In July, Ottawa had agreed to spend $47.8 billion over 10 years to improve underfunded welfare services on reserves. Chiefs and service providers had criticized the offer for not going far enough. A dramatic last-minute legal intervention tonight. A Texas judge has temporarily blocked the execution of Robertson, who was going to be the first person to be put to death for murder attributed to shaken baby syndrome. CTV's Washington Bureau Chief Joy Malbon explains.
For 2 decades, Robert Robertson lived on death row in Texas, convicted of fatally shaking his baby daughter Nikki to death. In a dramatic last-minute reprieve, just minutes before he was to die, a judge issued a temporary restraining order blocking his execution by lethal injection.
I don't want to die, but I'm not afraid of dying.
Why?
Why? I know I'm going to heaven.
His case, say supporters, was riddled with prejudice and the largely discredited shaken baby syndrome. New evidence shows 2-year-old Nikki was misdiagnosed. She'd fallen from her bed and was seriously ill with fever and double pneumonia.
Texas's highest criminal court declared the science used to convict Robert is not reliable. And yet he can't have the evidence even considered.
And no one knew at the time that Robertson had autism. Explaining his lack of emotion, even the detective who arrested him says he was terribly wrong.
It was my responsibility to help give him a voice, to help him be heard, because he is an innocent man.
An army of supporters, including 80 Texas lawmakers, including Republicans, have been pleading for clemency.
They're about to execute an innocent man. There's so much ignorance here and so much misinterpretation of basic scientific facts.
This last-ditch effort to save Robertson's life is only temporary, long enough for him to testify before the Texas legislature on Monday.
I don't think I should be executed when I'm innocent.
An extraordinary legal move giving hope to the man on death row. Joy Malbon, CTV News, Washington.
New details tonight of former One Direction star Liam Payne's final moments. The British singer fell from a hotel balcony in Argentina yesterday, and today we learned what happened right before in a newly released 911 call in Spanish. CTV's Alison Bamford reports.
The initial 911 call came before Liam Payne fell to his death. Hotel reception reported an intoxicated guest was breaking the whole room, asking 911 to send someone urgently, afraid that he will do something that will put his life at risk. Today, early autopsy results confirmed the 31-year-old singer died from injuries caused by the fall from his third-floor hotel balcony in Argentina. Authorities say everything indicates Payne was alone when he fell, likely going through an episode brought on by substance use. Outside the hotel, a growing makeshift memorial. And inside the UK's parliament, a tribute from government.
This was a tragic end for someone so young.
Payne's former One Direction bandmates are speaking out in a post saying, "We are completely devastated. We will take some time to grieve and process the loss of our brother who we loved dearly." Millions watched the band's formation on reality TV. The X Factor saying as part of One Direction, Payne will leave a lasting legacy on the music industry.
Even though that his solo work has achieved more than 3 billion streams in his career, One Direction still gets 40 to 45 million streams on Spotify every single month.
Authorities continue to investigate Payne's death using witness statements to help piece together what happened in the hours and final moments leading up to his fatal fall. Allison Bamford, CTV News.
Coming up.
Post something online or exchange photos. It's something that will follow them potentially for the rest of their lives.
Meta cracks down on social media sextortion. Social media giant Meta unveiled new features it says will fight sextortion and protect young users. CTV's Paul Hollingsworth on the measures and their limits.
Instagram is helping teenagers and parents spot online sextortion scammers who trick young people into sending intimate photos and then financial blackmail threatening exposure. The new rules limit the ability of strangers to connect with kids on social media. When an account is private, teens and children can now only exchange messages with people they follow. There is also a nudity protection feature. Another person's followers are now blocked. Tech analyst Carmi Levy says sextortion concerns extend far beyond Instagram.
These companies need to be held accountable by better laws that punish them if they aren't compliant. This doesn't get us anywhere close to that.
Public safety analyst Chris Lewis fears too many teens are staying silent about sextortion because of embarrassment.
If they fall into one of these traps and post something online or exchange photos, it's something that will follow them potentially for the rest of their lives, put them in a vulnerable position.
Part of this new campaign also includes a feature that prevents teens 16 and under from making any changes to their teen account settings without their parents' permission. Digital anthropologist Giles Crouch says parental involvement is required for these new rules to work.
So it all comes down to, are the parents actually spending time with their kids to learn how they're using these platforms?
The program is being released in the US, UK, Canada, and Australia, countries where sextortion crimes are the highest. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Halifax.
Still ahead. A school board asked to pay up for allegedly misusing public funds. An Ontario Catholic school board is under fire after an expensive trip to Italy by a group of trustees to buy tens of thousands of dollars worth of art for a new school. CTV's Adrian Gobriel has the details.
This rendering of a Catholic saint and multiple other pieces of religious artwork are at the center of a $145,000 school board scandal.
I've thought of it as being a needless expense.
4 trustees from a Catholic school board in Brantford, Ontario, took a trip to Italy this summer to view pieces of art bought for a new school. The trip has now caught the attention of the Ontario government as well as a Catholic teachers union.
People want to know that taxpayer money is being utilized in the best way possible.
The chair of the Board of Trustees has expressed regret, saying in part that each trustee, including myself, who participated in the trip, has agreed to repay all the expenses incurred to the board. Additionally, with regard to the Catholic statues we commissioned, we are exploring other non-board funding options to help offset the costs. This comes at a time when some Canadian school boards are struggling to make ends meet. One example, London, Ontario, where the Thames Valley District School Board is currently facing a $7.6 million deficit. And yet senior board staff there decided to spend $40,000 on a summer team-building trip that included a stay at the hotel inside Toronto's Rogers Centre.
We are stewards of public tax dollars.
Speaking virtually, the interim director of education for Thames Valley says a plan is in place to pay back the expense, and some staff have been put on leave.
We use public funds for public education, and we have to be so diligent in terms of maximizing educational outcomes in a fiscally responsible manner.
When it comes to the Catholic Board's Italian job, Ontario's Minister of Education says she's exploring options to open an investigation. Adrian Gobriel, CTV News, Toronto.
Coming up after the break, teaching ancestral traditions through a modern game. A First Nations community in Manitoba is turning to a popular video game to try and help kids get in touch with ancestral traditions. CTV's Alex Karpa shows us what it looks like and whether it's a move in the right direction.
This is Minecraft, a game where players build worlds with blocks. Now Manitoba's Bloodvein River First Nation is using those tools to teach students with a new map in the program that includes interaction with elders, ice fishing, and dog sledding.
It's about attendance and getting kids motivated to step through the door, getting that hook, and getting them invested in school.
The map features the Indigenous cultures and perspectives of the Pimichiawan Aki, which is Canada's first mixed UNESCO World Heritage Site.
It's important for a community like Bloodvein to incorporate and integrate technology in education. It's so impactful and meaningful. It leads to different career pathways.
Video provided by the coding company shows what looks like the east side of Lake Winnipeg, and Hildebrand says the map is available in Minecraft education. Elder William Young, who runs land-based programs in the community, is featured in the game.
But our community the way it is, and nobody knows about it, and we want to share that information out there.
This isn't the first integration with First Nations for the game. There are maps for the Coast Salish communities in BC, and now in development, one in Alberta that teaches students the Métis language, Michif.
In the future, hopefully this community is full of stories about, the place names and like how it got founded and who's been living here for generations.
Clinical psychologist Todd Cunningham says games and education isn't new, but it's dangerous if there isn't a focus.
There's actually a purpose of what's going on and an educational theme that's being driven through the simulation that is happening in Minecraft.
Teachers in Bloodvein have been taught the software similar to this, and now plans are being made for students to begin workshops using the map late November. Alex Karpa, CTV News, Winnipeg.
And that's a snapshot of this Thursday. Hope you can join Heather tomorrow. For all of us at CTV National News, thank you for watching, and good night.